Good afternoon. I'm Maxime. I work at the French Embassy. We'll talk about business studies today. We'll just wait a couple of minutes to let everyone else join us. Hello, everyone. Please make you comfortable. You can even introduce yourself. I will try during all this live. I will try to answer to your questions as well. So, do you hear me well? Bonjour Nora. Ok. Vous entendez bien? Hello everyone. We just wait a couple of minutes before starting, and we'll talk about studies in France in the business field. I see some people I know. Mohammed, Amal, our special guest is here, so that's a good news. She will be able to join us then. Allah, Noura, hello everyone. Salut Arnaud. Bonjour, Ayat. Okay, one more minute. Yeah, I see it, Arnaud. Hello, Wejdan. How are you? Yeah, indeed. I have still my hair. Yeah, we take all the cautions in the nowadays. So yeah, I won't shave and cut my hair during the next few weeks. So it will be difficult to watch this live and the next one worse, I guess. But it should be alright. Okay, guys, hello. For those who just joined us, I'm Maxime. I work at the French Embassy, and I'm in charge of notably, I'm in charge of the promotion of the studies in France. So, due to the current situation, we thought starting this weekly rendezvous to talk about studies in France for those who are interested in, for those who are also some children interested by doing studies there. So last week we did. It was the first episode, so we talked about 5 myths, funny myths about studying in France, and I think it was, despite some technical issues, a good success. And you can, by the way, you can find the first episode in replay on our Facebook channel and YouTube channels. So feel free to watch it, even if it's not perfect. But this time it will be, I'm sure. So this second episode we choose after discussion of people and after your feedback as well. We choose to talk about business studies, but not with the first format, which was only me in front of the camera, but with a special guest. So I will have the pleasure to invite in a couple of minutes Amal Sanad to talk about her experience as a Bahraini in France, but first of all, I will introduce just hello Bérangère. I will introduce just few things about business studies in France. So, business studies management. It aims to learn how to run a company, a department, a team. To do a project. It gives you the abilities to put together some financial and human resources to do an efficient action. So in that field, it has been developed everywhere else, of course, but in that field, France has developed a worldwide recognized offer in terms of business studies, both in public and private universities and schools. So Amal will testify about her experience in a business school, so private one. But I will just make one point about public ones as well. So in general, you can study business in France, both in French and in English. A lot of bachelor and master have been developed in the English language. So the French language is not a barrier anymore. For those who don't want to spend 8 months to learn French and be able to study in France. But of course, the experience abroad is better with foreign language. So I encourage you to learn French. But if you are already working and you want to do just a master degree, it's possible in English. Sorry. So we have developed a very wide offer, which has been recognized in a lot of different rankings, especially Financial Times. You will be able to find many very good schools in those rankings in terms of master in management, where France is excellent. You check the top 10 according to the Financial Times. You will see 4 French business schools. In terms of master in finance, executive education as well. So I'm sure you know many names. ITC, ESSEC, INSEAD, ECP, Lyon. That's those big names we know about, but we have many schools besides that. So I will just drop you one figure before inviting Amal to join me. We have among the 95 best European business schools, we have 28 French business schools. So that shows how France is do perform even according to Financial Times and on the global market today. Graduates from French business schools can find opportunities everywhere. So that was one thing I wanted to highlight. But now I will invite Amal and we'll discuss more about how is it studying in France, and she will testify. Just a second. Hello, Amal.
Hello, hi Maxime, how are you?
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you just with half of a second of décalage. So,
Oh, et
but
maintenant,
it's
ça va?
perfect.
Ah, ok, c'est bon.
Ouais, c'est bon. So, Amal, thank you for having accepting 2 days ago to
Yeah.
today. We wanted to speak about business studies, so I thought why not letting someone testify about her experience and how things were for you, like student life, program contents,
Absolutely.
employability after work. So I will, if I may, I will ask you a few questions, but I will let you introduce yourself as well. So what did you do in France, and
Yeah.
what do you do right now in Bahrain?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, so first of all, I want to thank you, Maxime, for this opportunity. I want to thanks the French embassy, the ambassador himself. He was very active during all of this time. So a beautiful engagement with all of the Bahrainis. So we're happy about that. Other than that, so first of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Amal Sanad, and I'm currently working with Export Bahrain, which is under the umbrella of Temkeen, SME Development Board, chaired by the Minister, Zaid Zayani, His Excellency Zaid Zayani, the Minister of Industry and Commerce. But other than that, I'll go back to the history why did I choose France from the beginning. So
Yes.
going back 10 years back, which I'm not old, it's just 10 years back. The time flies so fast. So when I graduated from school, so I took one course in French. That was when I was in school during my studies, my high school. And there was a huge inspiration from my mom, honestly, because she used to watch a lot of French movies. And I don't know if you remember TV5. What was it,
Yeah, yeah.
TV5? Yeah,
Different
TV5.
movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
so TV5, where she used to watch a lot of movies, and she every time I pass by, Emil, come and see this movie. Come and see this. See how they eat. See how they talk. So, and I wasn't that much interested, because I was young. I was a teenager, and I was like, okay, okay, and then I just go somewhere else. So when I graduated from school, and to me, honestly speaking, it's not just because you're French or France. Honestly speaking, I think it's one of the highlights of my life in general. It changed me a lot completely to a better person,
So,
and I always feel lucky that I chose France other than any other country.
okay.
So
So
why
after
is that? Tell me,
graduation,
ask me anything.
okay. So after your graduation, you have been to France to learn French language, right?
Yeah. Okay.
For
So yes,
a year?
for around 8 months. Yeah. So the thing is, because when I went to France, I didn't know a word in French. So the only thing I knew is un deux trois and bonjour and bonsoir. That's all.
That's the beginning.
That was only the beginning. So we had an intensive classes, like 8 hours a day. It was me and my friend also, my colleague, and she's my best friend, my sister, Sarah. A big hi to her as well. I hope she can join us. And we were together in the same class and the whole journey together. So when we went, it was back in 2005 when I graduated, and we took like intensive classes for 8 hours a day just to learn the French language. But that wasn't enough because we didn't know a word in French. So we lived with a French family. So that was again one of the biggest experience to me, to live with a French family, and we should have breakfast with them and dinner with them every day. Uh, and with a lot of help, honestly, from there was a they're still on. They called Education Zone, who helped us to connect us to EFALP. It's called EFALP Institute, which they only teach you French language.
Hmm.
And plus, because the French language, it's not only the language itself, it's the culture overall. So you need to understand the whole concept. So
So,
living with the yeah.
yeah, I guess living with a family, you discover how French people are
Oh.
not that different, I think, but still a new culture.
I
And
believe it's totally different, but in a beautiful way. Why? Because first of all, you learn a lot of interpersonal skills. Honestly, because you have to understand how they talk, how they eat, the expressions they use. Because even the way they talk, it's not just the normal language. There's a lot of expressions in French. So you need to understand the expressions, the way they communicate with each other, and this was a very good like eye-opening on the whole culture of France, which I was in love with. And to be honest, it wasn't an easy journey at the beginning because we had to move as well from one family to another. But the fact that we lived with them, we had breakfast and lunch, dinner with them, it was a beautiful experience. Beautiful. Mm,
okay, that's great.
yeah.
So that was your first year to learn French
Yeah.
before going to the École Supérieure de Commerce,
Yeah.
so
Later
business school,
on.
basically.
Hmm.
And so you did a bachelor,
Yes, a
right?
double degree, yeah, a double
A
degree bachelor in international business and cross-culture management.
Okay. Okay,
So
very
someone is asking, how did you overcome the preconceived ideas of Gulf nations while talking to French people? Okay, we can answer the questions later, or
yeah.
that's a really so
That's very specific, but I know the one who is asking those questions
okay.
is tricky a bit. But
Okay.
we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Okay, so did you have any difficulties like in terms of studying with French people and in a foreign language? And I guess it was challenging. And was it a good challenge after all when you look
Yeah.
back?
Can you hear me? Because there's a lot of background.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it was, to be honest, maybe it wasn't challenging because I'm a very outgoing person and I love to interact with different people. So it was very challenging for me, but in a beautiful way, because once you plus you need to learn the French language. Back then, it was completely different than now. So
Yes.
back then, when I was in, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of babies background. Okay,
No,
all
no,
right.
no.
So back then, when I was in France, I can't hear you. One second. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
You
all right.
totally perfectly.
Sorry. So yeah, back then, because it wasn't a lot of technology like now, the Google Translate, there's a lot of apps that you can just write down a whole sentence and
Yeah.
then that's it. Back then, it was a dictionary, like a manual thing that you have to go and look for word
Indeed.
by word to create a full sentence. So it was a lot of manuals, but I think because of that, I've learned faster, to be honest,
Okay.
because I have to see, I have to read, I have to revise everything, I have to write everything I listen. And because if you're there and you listen and you interact with the full French community, it helps you a lot to learn faster.
Indeed. Okay. Very good.
Yeah,
So in terms of content, so you double degree.
yeah.
So it was taught in French.
It was from French and English. It was
Al-
French and English. Yeah, French and English. So
Okay.
the first year, so I'll just tell you more about the OSA École Supérieure du Commerce, which is where I studied the international management in cross-cultural business. The first year was fully in France, which was in Saint-Étienne. Sorry, yeah, it was in Saint-Étienne. In IFAL, when I did my when I did the French language, it was in a different city called Chambéry, which is
Okay.
a beautiful city very close to a lot of areas such as Annecy,
Indeed.
Geneva, Lyon. I was a big fan of traveling around France. So,
Indeed.
and then I moved to Saint Etienne, which is, again, it was a very quiet city also, but I've learned where I studied my the university. I started university in Saint Etienne. So the first year was all in French in OSA École Supérieure du Commerce in Saint Etienne. And the next year, I had to do like an exchange program in Belgium
Okay.
because it was a double degree. So we had to go to Belgium, and it was me and my colleague, my friend. We went to Belgium for around 6 months, a whole semester. And it was intensively about cross-cultural management and how to uh, build business and create the B2B connections with different
Yeah.
countries.
That's very interesting what you are saying because indeed we are in all those schools in France and even universities we have
Mm.
now mandatory exchange exchange academic period or
Oh
semester
yeah, the
or
Erasmus.
interns, internships to do
Yeah.
and sorry someone is ringing,
Oh,
sorry for that.
it's okay. Me too.
Uh,
There was a lot of crying background, so babies. That's fine.
sorry about that. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's mandatory to have
Mm,
another cultural experience and to discover another other people, meet people, another kind of teaching. And
mm,
today in all our universities,
mm,
we have this, and especially into business field where it
mm,
is very
mm,
important to be able to work in an international environment and
mm.
but please go on.
No, please, because I'm just seeing the
Yeah,
names.
yeah,
Someone is
please,
saying,
please,
waving.
move forward, yeah.
Yeah,
You want to go.
but I totally
Yeah.
agree on what you're saying because it was actually it was a mandatory for us to do the exchange programs. So it's already part of the Erasmus program, which is already in France.
Okay.
I think it's part of all Europe
I'll let you
students, right?
keep going, please.
Yeah, okay. Shall I? For the ones, anyways, I will. So I'll continue what I'm saying. So regarding the exchange programs, we did one in we did it in Belgium, and then we had to come back all the way to France for a year and a half again, and then my last year was in UK in Cardiff, where we did the double degree in English.
Okay,
You
so
missed it. I was
yeah.
talking to
Ah,
the
you're,
group.
like the way
Okay,
I did my
all
HSC,
right.
so is in Bristol, so
Yeah.
opposite side,
Oh,
but
oh yeah,
in
yeah.
UK as well.
Yeah, so I was in the Pays de Galles, which is Cardiff,
Yes.
and we did the double degree there in English. So
Okay.
when I was in UK, it was more focusing on the marketing side, on psychology of marketing. Things. It was a very interesting course as well for a full year, and it was also a lot of economics in it, a lot of um, yeah, so it was a lot of business skills, negotiation skills, marketing was so much involved,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
business, how to pitch your ideas, how to start a business in general. So it was a beautiful course, but to me, it's not just the studies was one side, but my life experience was a totally different side of
Yeah.
the whole
I was
story.
going to ask you about your
Mm,
life experience. So, uh, what was it difficult to be in Saint Etienne because it's a small city? It's not.
mm,
We heard a lot about Paris, Lyon, Bordeaux, Marseille, but
yeah.
we have a lot of different cities, and the business schools,
Mm,
especially, are very
yeah.
good, well settled all around France, actually, and even
That's true.
abroad with some campuses abroad, like HEC, which has
Mm,
HEC Qatar, ESSEC
mm.
Singapore. We have many all around. So,
Yes, yes.
um, I was Saint Etienne, small city.
Mm. Yeah, it was a small
Next,
city. It was I won't say cute. I won't say cute. No, it was a bit cozy though. Uh, quiet, but it's really good for students. So
yes,
if you're talking about the cost of living, I mean comparing it to Paris, like big cities, Marseille,
yes,
Paris, I think for students it's going to be a bit. It won't be complicated. There
yes.
are a lot of options, but to us, I thought staying in a small city was a good option for us. You know, it was me and Sarah, and you focus more on your studies. But it's not only Saint Etienne. You have a lot of different student cities such as Grenoble,
Okay.
Mulhouse. There were
Indeed.
really good ones
Uh,
that I visited some of friends, and it was a very good, active student life. And the good thing about France is not just for the student, everything is on discount. Everything, there's a lot of, once you have the card, you
indeed.
get everything you need. So I remember the
True.
12 card, which
Yeah.
is for the trains, the
Student
TGV.
ID, but that's good for the train transportation,
Mm,
but also for
yeah.
the accommodation. I think
Yes,
you
yes.
get some subsidies from the French state to pay your rent,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, the CAF, yeah, it s'appelle le
yeah,
CAF.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
called the CAF, yeah.
Exactly.
So with
Yes.
Yeah, so with the CAF, we received also we were so happy with that. So we received around $200, 200 euros
Yes.
only for the accommodation, which really helped us a lot, And I didn't tell my parents at the beginning, so we wanted to take it for ourselves, but then I felt bad and I
Yeah.
told them, yeah.
No, but we have to say that accommodation is not that expensive, especially
Yeah.
on those small cities, and
Hmm.
you have this help from the state, so which is
Yeah.
very interesting because as international student, you are entitled to get it. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
was it difficult to find an accommodation?
Well, at Saint Etienne, at the beginning, yes. And because we were moving around, so it was a little bit because we went to Belgium and then we have to come back. So that
The,
was the challenge, yeah.
the,
But
the, the,
the But the good thing now, I think, because sometimes I go through studying in France because I'm planning to do my master's there again, inshallah.
Very good.
So yeah, inshallah,
We will talk
inshallah.
about that, huh? Because
Yeah, yeah.
that's the right place. You know that.
Sorry?
That's the right place to talk about
Oh,
that, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
definitely, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot. I
so,
got you. So, yeah, well, I go through it, and there's a lot of really good platforms to find accommodations in it. And there's a lot of even agencies that can help you, properties that can help students to get accommodation. And if you're living with someone, it will be much easier also because you share everything. And that was in my case with my friend. We used to live together, so everything was shared between us.
yes.
But Saint Etienne, yes, definitely you
But it's
can
very,
easily find.
but in general, myself,
Mm,
I did like four towns
yeah.
all around France, and
Where did you go, if you
but
don't mind me asking?
so no, I was in Angoulême. It's very small
Mm,
city, very small, tiny.
yeah.
Then
Mm,
Poitiers, small city as well, same
yeah.
size. Then Bordeaux and Aix-en-Provence.
Oh,
So
Aix-en-Provence,
bigger
beautiful.
cities, but
Mm,
uh, all the time, if you are struggling with an accommodation, it's on my opinion, it's not possible. If you anticipate a bit and if you go through an agent,
yeah.
uh, it's easy. If you don't go
Mm,
through an agent, it's a bit challenging if you don't speak
yes.
a very good French.
Yeah, that's
And,
true. But surprisingly, I went to France a couple of years back, and my French accent is very Bahraini. I admit it. I don't have a French accent. So when I speak French, they know that I'm not French. So yeah, it's very Bahraini actually, very Manami. So, so when I was there recently, like a couple of years back, when I speak French, they answer me in English. I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to speak French," and they're like, "Yeah, we're trying to speak English." So I was surprised that the people there are much up. They're very open. They speak openly like before, even if they know how to speak French, they don't. They speak English, they don't. They only answer you in French. But now I
now
I
it's
can see the difference. It's
more
very open.
personalized and 10 years back, maybe, yeah, it was
Mm.
difficult in little villages. You have not a lot
Yeah.
speaking English,
Mm.
but now in all the big town in France, you
Yeah.
are very international. Even inside the business schools, you have around
Mm. Oh, definitely.
30 to 40% of international students.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Actually, that was one of the challenges for us not to speak English, not to speak
This-
French because it was very internationalized,
yeah,
and most of the students there they speak English, and even the French students they want to practice their English, because it was, as I said, we have to move around, we need to go to different countries, so they were practicing their English with us. We were trying to practice our French with them. So imagine someone the French guys, the French people talk to us in English and we reply back in French. So that was the case in
yeah.
the
So
yeah, school.
Um, we'll take just, I saw two questions, but I think one you answered a bit. So, should the student of master speak French totally, like to study there in France? So, I think I answered that at the beginning, but maybe you were not
Mm,
there. So, no, not at all. Especially in the field of business, you can study in English.
yeah.
We have many masters taught in English.
Mm,
So it depends of what you are looking for, of course, but it's totally possible, and even at the bachelor degree, by the way.
yeah.
So you can
That
start.
that was my case. That was my case with
Yeah,
the
but
bachelor
yeah,
degree.
Amal did a
Yeah.
part of studies in English as well. And we had a question: what
I'm
are
trying to.
the best 10 university to do my PhD? So good
Oh
question.
wow.
It
No,
depends
yeah. I
which
didn't reach this
topic.
point, so it's your it's your call.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So it depends. It depends which topic you want to study in,
Mm,
because different university have different specialization, and I would say you can do your PhD in English in scientific unscientific fields for sure. For the others, it depends. It depends if you find someone to be your thesis director, etc. So it depends. You should get back to me. So by the way, you can contact me anytime through direct message on Instagram, but also on my on our mail address. So I will put everything on comments of the post, and I will post it as well on Facebook. So feel free to contact me. Uh, and so give example of Bahraini French accent. I think it's for you.
I know, I saw them. Actually, I can see my brother. I can see a lot of,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So yeah, because what to refer to this actually, because
Okay.
this is when I speak French, it was very Bahraini, as I mentioned. So a lot of people totally they can know that I'm not French, but I speak fluently, but with a very Bahraini accent. But
Yeah.
remind me, Maxime, to uh, to to say something very funny after all of this, all of the questions, because I have to talk about some of the funny experience when we learned French. It was one of the best actually
Yes.
experience. I was
You have many.
yeah, of course there's many, but this one was the highlight. So so we can talk about it later, just to wrap it up with some jokes,
Okay.
with some smiles.
For sure. Sure. Or
Yeah,
for the next episode with you in a
yeah.
few weeks.
Okay. All right.
So let's talk about Amal in Bahrain, back to Bahrain after
Yeah.
studies in France. So
Yes, yes.
how did it go? So did you do any internship in France or not?
Mm. No, actually, I did my internship in Bahrain, but there was a huge option for me to do it in France. There was a lot of platforms, and even the schools or the universities that you deal with, they can manage to get you, they can manage to get you like in a stage or an internship in France or even outside France.
Mhm.
So, in my case, I chose to come to Bahrain. I wanted to go, to be close to my
Okay.
family, but for around 6 months. Yeah, it was around 5 months. But my friend Sarah, she did her internship in Lyon,
Okay.
uh, in a retail shop. So it was very interesting. So she was
Okay.
doing the back office of it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, very good. And yeah, because that's also a good thing with business school. You can do you have mandatory internship during all your bachelor and master degree, both bachelor and master degree. You have to do internships, and they have a big network inside the local companies. Because
Mm.
at the beginning, from the origin, the business schools were created by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry to fit
Oh, I didn't
the
know that. That's amazing.
to fit the
Mm.
requirements of the companies and to fit the training requirements.
Wow,
So
beautiful.
that's why they have this culture of professional culture of the private
Mm-hmm.
sector, and that's why they fit in general the labor
Mm.
market requirements. So
Mm-mm.
when you get back to Bahrain,
Yeah.
what did you do?
So
After
the first the so when I came back, as I said, because it was a very good, rich experience to me to learn the French language, to live there for almost like 4 years, and I think there's a lot of key points for you to adapt easily, which is first of all, because it's a different language, it's a different culture, you need to adapt easily, and this gives you a very good skill later on in your future, to be flexible, to accept, to adapt different environments, different, and you learn very fast. So these are very fundamental skills for you when you come back to Bahrain and study it, and and do it in life, as work experience. So my first experience was. I remember it was like after 2 weeks when I came back directly from France, there was like a job fair, and I went there. I had my CV with me,
okay,
and I went, and the first place I saw was HSBC, and I just handed them my CV,
okay,
and there was like so crowded, a lot of people, and I was lucky that day the HR manager was there. She was sitting in the booth of, and I gave her, the CV, like, can I get you the CV? And she took it and she was like, where did you study? And the minute I said France, she's like, do you speak French? I was like, yes, I speak French. She's like, give me your CV. So she took it, and in like 2 weeks' time, she gave me a call, and she was like, come, let's have an interview. And then when I was there,
Okay.
and she
Very good.
she was very inspired with the way I talk, and she was like, "Where did you get this confidence from?" I was like, "Because I was studying in France, and it was a very tough journey at the beginning. It was a good, it's an eye-opening for how to communicate, how to adapt, how to learn fast, and later on, experience comes with time. But at least if you have these really good skills, it will help you, and it's still helping me,
So,
honestly.
so you
Yeah.
haven't been discriminating because you were studying in France, nothing that
Oh
kind
no,
in Bahrain?
no. I think it's one of my strengths
Okay.
that I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
studying in
I
France. Yeah.
agree. I agree. Basically, yeah, when you see also when we meet other alumni as well, that's what they are saying. That's like not thousands of people didn't study in France here in Bahrain. So having
Mm,
this past and curriculum, this experience give you an asset on the labor market.
yeah,
So you
absolutely,
can find a job.
absolutely.
And it's
Definitely,
yeah, and it's
definitely.
good
I mean,
because it gives you
yeah,
one
yeah.
foreign language
Mm, mm,
experiences, and as a whole,
mm.
it's very good. It's a very good choice, on my opinion. It's not
Yeah.
because I'm French. I'm saying that, of course.
Well, to me, honestly, it's just that any experience outside your comfort zone will really help you to improve a lot of interpersonal skills.
Mm.
And
Indeed.
because when you go to France, it's a different, level of experience where the language is engaged, the culture is engaged, the life experience there. So it really builds up your interpersonal skills. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
And now, after HSBC, where have you been?
Yes. So after HSBC, I worked for HSBC for 2 years, and then I went to Zain Telecom Vodafone. It was Vodafone back then. Yeah, it was Vodafone Zain. And
Okay.
again, so when I was in HSBC, I was working in the advance, which is like the wealth management part of wealth management, but more like with the customer engagement, customer services. However, for the wealth management customers, and then I wanted to move to corporates because it was my background, and and one of actually I think it was one of the customers was my manager and Zain, and he proposed to me to join Zain, and I was there with them. I sent them my CV, and I got accepted. I had like an interview with them, and I stayed there for like another 2 years under as a key account manager for corporates to provide like IT solutions and ITC solutions. And then when I moved to Temkeen, and that was
And
another
that's
beautiful experience for me to really, dive in the economy, the market in Bahrain, and to understand the startups. And that was where the journey started. It's been like 5 years with Temkeen, and I'm very much engaged with
okay.
the private
Very
sector. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and we see Tamkin everywhere, actually,
Yeah.
in Bahrain.
Yes.
They
Yes.
finance
It's a
many.
huge impact.
That's
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So there were some questions. Just I will get back to them. So is master degree a similar program as a bachelor's? So I don't understand these questions, but I will try to get the sense of Iman Abdul Latif. So I will try to answer to you if I got
Mm,
it, got your point. So the master degree in France will be recognized here in Bahrain. So
mm,
it depends if they have the accreditation. It depends of the degree actually, because some degree have the accreditations of the French Ministry of Higher Education. So no issue with that. And for the others, it's a case by case recognition, but it's always a recognition. It's with and it's not a problem to work into the private sector. Nobody asks in the private sector some accreditation process, administrative paperwork. No, they want skills. They want you to be able to do the job. They want you to know to have learned many things during your studies, but they are not like that administrative like public sector can be
I
sometimes.
I think
So
also
no
what
issue with
Maxime,
recognition.
if you don't mind, Maxime, if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
please,
I'll
please,
just
please.
add on, if I'm not mistaken, because what she's asking is here in Bahrain if it's accredited, because normally you need to have an accreditation to like a
Yes,
validation of the certificates. So
yeah,
I think
by
it all depends on the university, but I believe if the government and the private universities in France are very well recognized, so it will be easy for you to validate your certificate in Bahrain. And that's what
yeah.
happened to us. Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw all the precedents. I never, it has been like more than 2 years I'm here in Bahrain handling these matters, and
Mm,
I never see any issue
yeah.
with
Yeah.
that connection. Sometimes it can
Mm,
take some time with the Ministry of Education when they study it. They ask a lot of papers extra,
yeah.
but
But it's okay. It's
that's
just only for
never.
the validation of the
So,
certificate. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So, but at the end, it's recognized for sure. So we had another question of Fatima about architecture, studying architecture in Bahrain at UOB. So for master in French into architecture, would it be in English or French? So uh, actually, the best architecture schools in France, we have 22. They are public, they are totally free, but they are very competitive and they are in French. So
Mm.
that's one thing. So French language is a requirement for those.
Mm.
Then you have the possibility to
The
do it
private ones.
into the
Yeah.
private schools. So maybe you have some specific masters taught in English. I could put the link of the catalog of the programs taught in English, and you will be able to find them. I think there are like 4 or 5. But again, in French it's better. For architecture, for sure, because the most famous schools are taught in French. Uh, and maybe a last question. I try to practice my French, but I feel embarrassed when I use formal
Mm.
French that I studied, and people on social media use very informal French that is mixed up and shortcut. So
Oh,
yes,
can I answer this question?
please, Amal, please.
Trust me, don't feel embarrassed. I didn't know a word in French when I was in France. So this is where I will tell this story to you. So imagine when I was with the French family, we used to live with a very old lady. So anything we want to communicate with her, we have to open our dictionary and go through all of the words. So to me, we lost her keys one day. We went out with my friends at night, and then when we came back, we lost the keys. So we had to ring the bell, and she came all the way from up. Why did you? Where's the keys? And then when I went back, so I was trying to find the word of sorry, which is in French, désolé. Okay. And I know that it was désolé, but there was another word next to it or under it, which is délicieux. So délicieux, it means delicious. So imagine
Yeah,
I wanted really to say sorry, and I really wanted to say it from my heart. So I was like, I'm really, really, really délicieux. And she's like, what? And which means in English, it's I'm really, really delicious.
yeah,
So
yeah,
imagine these kind of scenarios happened, and it was so funny, and we laughed so much about it after that. So this
yeah.
happened. So don't feel
It's
embarrassed. I didn't see the only way to learn French is to talk, even if it's wrong. Like I remember me and my friend Sarah. Sarah, mashallah, my friend, she's very structured with the. She always used the grammar words, correctly, and I didn't, honestly. Because I wanted to speak so fast, so I want to learn so fast. So I just talk, and all the grammar was wrong. She learned it faster than I did, but I talked faster than she did because I was talking. So it doesn't really matter if it's wrong or right. The minute that you talk, then it just comes together. And when you hear French as well, or you listen to the French, maybe by movies and radio. I listen to radio every day in Oryx TV, Oryx Radio, which is, I don't know where is it from,
Yeah.
but I listen to it always.
But
And
we won't say where does it come from,
it's 94
but
point. I don't know, yeah. So, but
yeah,
it's sometimes it's over there, and it's Oryx Radio, and all of
yeah.
the like
Yeah,
you can listen
it's
to
based
French,
first name, right?
yeah. And sometimes and even if you don't want to listen to this, there's a lot of apps that has all the radios in French.
Mm.
And I used to do that when I came back from France. I used to listen to them a lot. So speaking French, it's all about practice. So if you are really in love with the language, then you will study it, organically, Yeah.
So again, question by Fatima. Another question. Since the French language is required, do you recommend I study here the language or take a 1 year course there in France? So the two possibilities are existing. So here in Bahrain, you can have, of course, some French courses, but like Amal was through the funny story of Amal, we see that living there is something very important to practice language, to be able to improve yourself, and of course, you will be a faster learner there. But it's good to go there with some
Yeah.
bases. So if you can start learning French in Bahrain, do it, please. And then you will go to France, and then you
Yeah.
will practice, and you will have a certain level of language which enables you to interact
Yeah.
and to improve yourself very quickly.
That's true. And even now, the IFAL Français, well, they were very helpful because I did a couple of courses in IFAL. No, sorry, Alliance Française, and the one in Isa Town.
Yeah,
IFAL was the one in Chambéry, the institute in Chambéry.
yeah.
So Alliance Française was very helpful to me also. And plus they were even helpful with finding the right university. They gave me like a huge booklet with
Mhm.
all of the university that has English and French. And I think you can find it in France campus, right? You can even
Indeed.
find it on the
Yeah,
website.
indeed.
Mm,
And here, of course, us at the embassy were in link with
yeah,
Alliance Française, which is the official
which is you, yeah.
linguistic and cultural center. And they offer good courses, which they are the only center here in Bahrain which delivers some certified French diploma in French language, which are
Mm,
required by the universities. So that's very important. You can pass your exams here and to be able to join a university in France. And then they can offer you, if you want to do both, uh, you will talk to them, and they will offer you the most suitable program of learning for you. So you can contact us, them directly. They are on Instagram, on Facebook as well. So please, and otherwise you ask me, and I will give you their contact details as well. So I think we have been longer than we thought, Amal,
no,
but you are a good chatter. So
thank you.
it was a real it was a real
Yeah, my
pleasure,
pleasure.
and so this is I thank you very much, and this is the end of our live for this episode 2 about business studies through the showcasing of Mrs. Amal Sanad. So I will share the replay like usual on Facebook, YouTube, and I will try Instagram, but it's very long format, so not sure I will be able to do that, but I will try. And um, if some people around you missed it, send them the link. It doesn't
Yeah,
cost much and it
yeah.
gives you information. And if you have any other questions, just contact us, direct message, call. More difficult nowadays because I'm not at
Yeah.
the office. I'm at home,
Yeah.
but by email as well. I will add the email address on Instagram, and I sincerely hope that it was useful for you. And please, you can share with us what you want for the next episodes. I think we might keep this format of dialogue with
Yeah.
Bahraini guests, for example.
There's a lot
It's
actually. There's a lot of
very,
Bahraini students.
yeah. And
Yeah.
by the way, last year we launched France Bahrain Alumni Network, which has
Oh.
not been very active since the
Mm.
last couple of weeks, let's say.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll do some events, gather all the French speaker, all the former students, when the
Yeah.
crisis is over, and I hope it will be
Inshallah.
soon. So stay tuned, share this video, stay safe as
Yeah.
well, and we will meet
And
soon, inshallah,
yeah, and
like
if
we
they have
say,
any
but a good
questions as well,
one.
yeah, and Maxime, even the
Yeah,
ones that you contact, like students who are interested in France, if they need any questions regarding anything from my side, as an experience, I'd love to answer them. I'll be more than happy. Honestly, they can WhatsApp me or just send me on a message on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to support them.
that's amazing.
I'm all about going to France and studying in French, and so I'll be more than happy to be your supporter.
Thank you for being very passionate about that and for
Yeah.
sharing all this. And peut-être on peut conclure en français, Amal.
Oui, si tu veux, si tu veux. Maintenant, on va parler en français. Oui, si tu veux, vas-y.
Merci
Avec un
beaucoup.
accent bahrénien.
À très bientôt.
Merci. Je vous en prie, merci beaucoup.
Avec un
Et
bel
à la
accent.
prochaine fois,
Et mon
Inch'Allah.
accent en anglais,
Comment?
mon accent en anglais et mon accent en arabe,
Oui.
c'est pire.
Moi avec... Non, non, non. Mon accent avec français, c'est le pire, donc.
Très
Aussi,
bien.
c'est...
Bon, on
Ouais.
va conclure
Merci
là-dessus. À très
beaucoup,
bientôt.
merci. Ok,
Merci
à
Amal.
bientôt.
Et au
Ciao,
revoir.
bye bye.